Okay, so we are at the Kejar River. What's fascinating about the Kejar River, among the many rivers that's supplying to the dam, the Mango Dam, but this is the end of the river, and further up it gets shallower and you can't actually use the boat. It's under the Royal Belum Forest, so hence it is reserved. So it's very pristine, no logging, nothing. There's the orang asli villages, so they are here. But other than that, nothing else. Now, there's a salt lake very nearby. I'm not going to show you where it is. It's very nearby. Of course, you can't go in unless you have special permit, and you can't even put up camera traps unless you have permission from the state park authorities. But trust me, a lot of animals that we saw on the camera trap. What I love the most is ladang. Ladang is boar, huge buffalo type forest. It's really huge. Even the tigers would not, hunt it. It's really big. What I'm going to show you there is one of the efforts, initiatives that's being done. They've cleared that land and hoping grass will grow. And in the evenings, you actually get seladang coming down on that side. But we have to leave the park no later than 6 p.m. So we'll probably not get to see them. And on this side, somewhere deep in the forest, is where the salt lake is. Now, what's fascinating about this river is when the water started rising, there were some Malay villages, and they were asked to move. So they moved to the nearest town, that's in Greek. But what's fascinating is, the name Belum, if you read about it, okay, I can hear. I hope you catch that one. That's beautiful. So what you get, sorry, where was that? All right, so they were asked to move. And fascinating, how were they traveling those days was because they used to tame elephants, and they used to use elephants to travel out. There are a few villages, there's still, their rubber estates, their durian plantations and graveyards are still there. And some of the villages do make an occasional journey over there to, see their grandparents' villages. But someone very interestingly, who's very good in history, I happened to meet, saying that, the name Belum doesn't come from that insect that makes that sound blom, 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 hence Belum. But it actually comes from a Thai village that was up there called Banlong. And Banlong, throughout the ages became Belum, and hence Belum. So he was telling me this. I found it very fascinating because this was also told to me by a few other people who have history of, having villages, who have family who are living in these villages. Now, if you want to go up there, we gotta hike up there. You gotta park your boat and hike up there. It's about, depending on how fit you are, 2 or 3 days up, hiking up, and then 2 or 3 days hiking back. Of course, along the way, there's so much wildlife that you get to see, including tigers. So that's the beautiful history of Kejar. So let's go see some of the orang asli villages. macam mana?
Kita sambung macam ni. Dia
Ah.
jadilah panjang. Macam foto
Oi.
lah dalam bulu. Macam ni lah. Lepas lagi okey lah.
So-
Dia jadi panjang kan.
so
Lepas
that-
tu kita sumpit lah.
The blowpipe. So this is the original size, and it's connected and make it longer. So it's not easy to get this bamboo, which is dia dalam dia tak ada dia kosong eh.
Kosong.
Kita kena
Kita buat buat
Oh.
ni. Dulu kita ambil sarung dia sendiri. Ni pula kita tukar premium. Dah
So-
luar lah.
So actually they use aluminium. So of course it's easier. You can't find a straight
Kita ambil
bamboo.
cara yang moden pula.
modern pula. Tapi ini pun bukan senang nak cari.
Ini bukan
Oi,
senang.
susah juga.
Susah. It's difficult to find something that's straight. Susah. Boleh tahan ke? Berapa lama boleh pakai?
Oi, 2-3 tahun.
2-3 tahun. So you can use for 2 or 3 years. You know?
4 tahun pun ada
Ya.
kita boleh guna ni.
Ni dia.
Tongkat.
Ni tongkat pukul lah.
Untuk tatap dia. Tatap dia.
So that's interesting. So this is used for hunting as well. So hunting is lot. Ada binatang apa sini banyak tangkap apa?
Kita buat tangkap tu monyet,
Monyet
lutung,
ialah lutung, monkeys,
apa,
lutung,
Monkey,
squirrels
ikan
and stuff.
tu,
So
mawa, dia ada bunyi tu, yang panjang dia punya tangan tu,
gibbons
makan
topai ke apa, semua tu lah kita makan.
boleh sumpit.
Oi, topai sana, topai sana. Tu jauh dia pergi.
Talking about almost 50 meters. I don't know, really 50 meters. But yeah, because some of the trees here go up to 50 to 100 meters, so won't be surprised.
Maka dia apa?
Kayu tinggi pun boleh dia sampai.
Berat saja kalau ani lah.
Bawa anjing pergi ke tak?
Anjing ni ke
Jaga
babi
sini.
lah.
Dia nak jaga babi.
So it
Jaga
says
babi malam-malam.
the dogs is basically to, you know,
Kita tidur,
so that
anjing tu dia nak jaga.
boss, wild pigs will come in.
Wah,
So
kamu.
that's their job. They're the security of the village. Bagus lah sekarang ada internet, wifi seronok ah.
Tapi seronok pun dia tak mati dah.
Mati dah.
Mati dah.
Aduh.
Mula pun dalam seminggu tak ada. Nak order lagi dia nak pergi buat.
So this was a government initiative to provide internet to the villages. So it's so far. It's about 2 hours speedboat ride all the way here. So you can understand that, well, it's a good initiative, but unfortunately again, maintenance is a problem. So you're saying it lasted for a few weeks, and now for the past few weeks they can't use it. So it's on and off. So it's not very, very reliable. So building something is one thing. This is not the only one. I've seen in some villages where they actually made water supply and to clean the water, treat the water. But the same thing happens is it gets clogged, and then the budget is not there for maintenance. The budget is there to, build whatever it may be, or this or the solar. And I remember in some village they had solar and they supplied them with batteries, and they didn't know how to maintain those batteries, and then the batteries. But then when they went back asking for repair and stuff, they say, oh, we don't have the budget for it. So it's not enough just building infrastructure, but it's also maintaining them is extremely important. So this is the story of Sungai Kejar. Now you're wondering, wait, did you not say Sungai Kejar, the other Kejar? This is the original Sungai Kejar. And then when the numbers grew big, they moved across the rivers and closer by, but they still maintain the name as Kejar. But Kejar is a name given by the you got dogs sniffing you. So by the Orang Asli, the department for the Orang Asli, obviously they will not use Jerai and Kejar and all that is not traditionally their name. Jalan sikit So you can see that even men take care of the babies. So responsibility of taking care of children does not fall necessarily on women. The gender roles here are very different compared to communities out there. Gender roles are actually divided based on muscle power. So if you need something carrying, but of course, very difficult. I've seen women carrying out bamboos out from the forest. So I guess even heavier than that probably. So that's basically gender rules are divided based on muscle power, I guess. Now this is interesting because usually I don't find the orang asli houses long house. This is something you get in East Malaysia, not among the orang asli. So we can see that this one is long house, but it will only have their family. It's not like the long house in East Malaysia, so where they will be in this house. So probably they have more than one family. Maybe the son or the daughter has newly married and stuff, so they have that. So here we have these young ladies. Batu tu buat apa tu? Batu atas tu untuk apa? Cuci baju okay. So you find you'll find traditional homes, one above ground, the older ones on the ground, and those were the ones built by Jakwa, department in charge of the orang asli. But you see this huge solar light to lighten up the village at night. This is by NGOs. This is not made by the Jakwa. Now, I'm not emphasizing it. They are emphasizing it. They keep reminding me that this is not from the government. This is from the NGO. And this is the older version of the homes that were given by the department in charge of the orang asli. Of course, again, there's no money for maintenance, so wear and tear and repairs and all have to be done by them, which is a problem actually. And you can see it's pretty run down. Now, this village, they don't have that much problem with the ambil makan coki-coki. Saya ingat budak banyak, budak tak ramai. Mai kakak mai ambil semua bagi kat semua, ambil semua. Bagi kat abang, kakak semua. So they don't have so much human elephant conflict, but they still have human animal conflict. This along the Kejar River, there's a lot of seladang. And if you don't know what seladang, Google it. Look at the pictures, look at the size of those animals. It's impressive. So seladang, just a few days ago, a group of them came into the village and they were eating all the saplings that they planted, fruits, trees and rubber and stuff like that. So imagine that's your diet, that's your main meal. So food security is a problem. It doesn't matter if it's not the elephants, now it's the seladang. But they have a lot of dogs, so at least the wild boars are kept at bay, because wild boars do a lot of damage. We always look at elephants, but wild boars do a lot of damage. They come in groups, damage your whole orchard and they run off. Now, if you look at this, you're not going to go into the house. I just want to give you an idea. I can smell the smoke. It's so strong. I hope you can see. If you can see, and you can see that the roof is all charred black. Now, in any Orang Asli village you go, you'll find a lot of them will be coughing. Now, I don't think it's infection per se, although because of malnutrition, infection is of course something that we always think about and we worry about. But there's no study done in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. What it is basically, you expose yourself with, smoke. It can be smoke like this, or if you're smoking chronically, you damage your lungs to the extent where, your usual expansion of the lungs and, decompression of the lung the elasticity is lost. That's in simple terms. So a lot of them, all these houses, they might have a kitchen outside, but the main kitchen is always inside. And of course the easiest thing to do is to use firewood because it's available. So, and they're cooking like this. There's no proper ventilation. You can see the smoke is actually seeping out from the roof. No, it's not actually, there's no chimney or stuff. And if you would go in, the smell, the smoke, the smell is so strong. And at night when it gets cooler, they let the fire, I mean it's not fire per se, but it's smoky, and there is a bit of fire just to keep the house warm. So that persistent, consistent smoke that gets into your lungs, the damage that it does is amazing. There was a study that we conducted on obstructive lung disease in the community in Malaysia, and we found that we have one of the lowest obstructive lung disease due to exposure to smoke and stuff. But it'll be very interesting to know that how are their lungs, and what is their lung condition, and how much is this smoke that gets into the house and stays there, and children and adults who are exposed to it for long periods of time, how does it affect their lungs? So that's something that's really something that needs to be looked into. You see, it's a fairly new building. So that's actually a kindergarten of sorts. This was built by not built by the government, but it's an NGO. But from what I was told, it's no longer used. The books, which was placed there, have all torn or gone missing and stuff like that. So problem is, it's not just putting up solar, putting up internet, putting up buildings, but maintenance is also an issue. You must understand, they don't have money to buy and repair stuff. They got to buy. Most importantly is food. Food is a major concern for them. So they're not going to spend money on stuff which is not, a major concern for them. So it does affect them.